I was cleaning out my closet the other day. Over the years, has accumulated a messiness with holiday decorations, miscellaneous items, and toys from my childhood. I was organizing some of my old Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon cards into binders, and in one of the empty card slots was a Lego musket. I was sort of imagining the life of this piece of plastic and how it ended up in the binder. It's crazy to think that at one time this came from a sealed set, and once removed it was present for many of the creative adventures I'd come up with for my minifigures when I was a kid. I love that despite its size, it completely removed me from the present and made me gaze into a hazy window of my past. It took me back to being a kid, but more importantly, it reminded me of how absolutely amazing the original LEGO Pirate line is. You see, in the 80s and 90s, LEGO was creating some of the most iconic sets the company had ever designed. There were these fascinatingly unique themes such as space, castle, western, adventurers, and town. Then, towards the tail end of the 90s, mostly early 2000s, you had some fantastic licensed stuff like Star Wars and Harry Potter. Within the span of all these themes were these rich sub-themes like Forestmen, Divers, and M-Tron. This diverse cast of aesthetics, at least in my mind, makes the LEGO universe this anything goes kind of world, where a child's imagination becomes the all-powerful of this magical land. A few Star Wars sets could be neighbors with a Breezeway Cafe, or Black Monarch's castle. Divers can ride trains in their gear, and Spider-Man can wield 2 spears while riding elephants with the Rock Raiders. When I was growing up, my brother had a handful of sets from the old school ninja theme in Town Space. I was kinda young when these came out, but I can still remember the day I really got into LEGO, and it wasn't from any of the sets we already owned. Actually, it was a little more unconventional, but maybe not. Let's see if some of you can relate. That's right, the real inception of my LEGO mania as a kid was from LEGO Racers for the N64. Right when you would first boot up this game, you get a flavorful cinematic, and right there, on the main menu, was one of the most recognizable minifigures of all time staring you down, Captain Redbeard. In fact, the first level is a pirate-themed circuit. This game was a nice overview of some of LEGO's great themes and characters. As soon as I unlocked Captain Redbeard's car set, and saw King Kahuka as the next villain, I was hooked. I wanted pirate sets. I wanted to own King Kahuka's minifigure. When I first got into this iconic theme, my attention immediately focused on some of the big hitters. More specifically, the ships. Scattered across the original pirate line from 1989 to 1997 are some incredible nautical creations. One of the most prolific is the Black Sea's Barracuda, often regarded as one of the greatest LEGO sets ever designed. Imagine being a kid in some toy shop during the 80s, maybe early 90s, and seeing that monster sitting on a shelf. Even today, it is a set that captures wandering eyes and beautifully encapsulates the soul of this theme. Another fantastic addition to the pirate's fleet is the Skull's Eye schooner. It's an even bigger ship with a slimmer design and hoisting those massive black and white sails. Even the other sub-themes had some amazing boats, such as the Islanders' Catamaran, the Bluecoats' Caribbean Clipper, and the Redcoats' Imperial flagship, along with the Armada's very own flagship. What's so great about these ships is that they tether the land-based sets together into this almost believable world where pirates, Imperials, and Islanders run amok. In fact, the world-building element of the classic pirate line is easily my favorite part of the theme. Take a look at people just displaying their vintage pirate collections, not even doing these major MOCs, and you can see the natural, almost cinematic quality of these sets when conjoined together. For example, placing Sabre Island, Broadside's Brig, Lagoon Lockup, and El Dorado Fortress next to each other, with a few harbor sentries and a Caribbean Clipper, forges this intricate and visually appealing Blue Coat territory. The Islanders' jungle, the pirates' secret hideaways, the small scattered sets occupying the rest of the space. It's a nice little community. Of course, this is true for other vintage LEGO themes, but I truly think the execution with the pirates is masterful. Within, each sub-theme is full of distinguishable character, and they maintain this airtight balance between themselves. I immediately think of their leaders, King Kahuka, Governor Broadside, and so on. The whole pirate cast of minifigures looks pretty sweet. I think it is also important to note that with the pirate theme came major innovations to LEGO's overall design philosophy. Instead of the simple smiling faces we have all come to love and appreciate, things like facial hair, hook hands, eye patches, and peg legs were integrated to give minifigures more depth. Not to mention animals, sails, and entire stories printed on the box's flap, a whole lore to animate this world that these themes interact with. It was honestly so refreshing to finally see something other than a kid playing with Legos. Furthermore, each sub-theme weaves in some interesting and popular sets, some of my favorites being the Islanders' Enchanted Island, the Imperial Trading Post, and the Pirates' home base of Rock Island Refuge. There's genuinely so many classics and hidden gems though. Hell, even the modern pirate sets are really cool, and they only enrich the legendary roots established by these vintage sets. If I had to pick a favorite set of all time, it would probably be the pirate sloop, the Renegade Runner. I'm a huge fan of how the set looks, and I just love that you could display it on a desk without it feeling too crammed. I can't believe that this theme is going on 30 plus years of existence. It's no secret that as it continues to age, these old sets become more coveted, and thus become more expensive. The thing is though, if you know what you want and you're patient, you can find some amazing deals on eBay, Bricklink, Etsy, Facebook Marketplace, Facebook groups, Craigslist, conventions, flea markets, and tag sales. Vintage LEGO is backed by a resourceful and engaging community. Some of my favorite YouTube content creators within this community include Trick Bricks, Jang Bricks, and Brickstar, but really there's a lot of well-produced YouTubers doing reviews, vintage hauls, running stores, and spreading quality information from their experience with the hobby. There's also established websites like Eurobricks, a classic PHP type forum full of LEGO fans with a robust pirate subforum and helpful users. Then there's Brickset, which brings order to the hobby by offering a complete database of sets and minifigures, as well as a variety of organizational options to keep track of your collection. And if you're like me, you might have ancient Legos lying dormant in tucked away bins. There's various websites which offer printable scans of the original instructions to just about every set. Who knows, you might have a Skull Island or Imperial Outpost that's only missing a few cheap pieces, but that brings me back to the musket. It's funny how little things like LEGO muskets or even just a basic brick can take you back to the childhood version of yourself. When I was holding it, I was thinking of the meticulous love and detail LEGO put into their pirate sets. I was reminded of the photography on the boxes, the nostalgic color palettes, the posters, advertisements, and the alternate builds offered to those bold enough to try them. But really I thought about LEGO Racers and how with that game I was introduced to so many of LEGO's finest themes and characters. LEGO is such a mythical, almost century-old company at this point, but I think with the Pirates though, I'm truly immersed back into what I consider the golden age of LEGO. In my mind, there's this sort of trinity of space, pirates, and castle that exists in this period, but that triangle is different for everyone. What I love most though is that although many years have passed and times have changed greatly, one thing that really hasn't is the way kids connect with LEGO. To me, that interaction is a sacred combination of imagination and construction. You love to see it. Of course I'd love to go back, but I can always thank Pirates for making me a LEGO maniac.